I get so tired of this. Hello Satanists, sinners, atheists and just the curious. I'm Jobe and this is my series, The Book of Job. Now before I start the main video, I'd just like to give a thanks to the people down at Truth for Satan who had me on their podcast on Saturday, which is really nice of them. And I'll leave a link in the description below for their channel and the podcast they posted up. And also like to thank everyone who sent me really nice birthday messages on Saturday. It's really cool. Turned 34 and still under lockdown, but hey, still nice messages and gifts and stuff like that. My favourite gift was the one with the little goat flipping its little tongue in front of a CGI cake. That was quite good. But this video we're actually going to talk about something that kind of happened to me pretty much today actually when I decided to do this. And this is the sort of thing that that's probably been happening to you guys a lot. So this happens to a lot of atheists and Satanists, be they atheist or theist. But this literally happened earlier today, and it's also happened kind of like throughout, probably like a couple of weeks after I started my Twitter. And if you do want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you can follow me from there. And also the links are in the description. Yeah, so these are basically a couple of easy questions that I've been asked over the last year, and it both, as I said, it relates to both Satanism and atheism in general. And it's one of those things that it's probably happened to you before, or if you're new, it will, you know, these will be the sort of questions you might be asked. But at the same time, they're kind of easy to answer if you kind of put a bit of thought into it, I guess. Yeah, so here are just a couple of questions I've been asked, and kind of like an easy answer, and also kind of where they're coming from when they ask it. So the first question you tend to get asked, once again, be it atheist or Satanist, regardless, is like, oh no, you do believe in God, you just want to sin. And that is a very easy thing to think when you're on that side. But the thing that everyone seems to forget who says that, thinks that everyone who isn't them is one-dimensional. That there's no actual depth to anyone's thought processes. It's just, I don't like being told what to do, so I'm just going to not do it. Not realising the fact that if we believed that God existed and that hell existed, that if we didn't do what God wanted, we'd go to hell. So from their perspective, we just sound like, you know, children who just don't want to eat their vegetables. But if you actually put actual thought into it, you're basically what they're basically saying is you are happily giving up, you know, eternal paradise for not wanting to do the stuff you're supposed to do now, which is very baffling, because it's like they're saying that we are saying that, oh no, I want to do this bad thing. I know it's bad and I'm going to be condemned forever for eternity, but I just want to do it. And that just doesn't work, because human minds don't work like that. So no, the answer is no. It's not because we want to sin. We don't believe that there is a God to give us these rules in the first place. And the other thing they assume is they're making that assumption based on nothing, because they don't know who you are now and nor who you were then. I mean, for me, you know, you wanting to sin is like, what I'm doing now ostensibly is the same what I did before I became an atheist and a Satanist. So I never went to church, and my attitude towards other people is still the same now as it was 5 years ago when I was still a Christian. So I myself haven't really changed. So no, it's not. I'm not now doing things I wouldn't have done prior. So the other one I think is kind of interesting is they kind of make the statement. So I've got my list there. The other statement some people make is like, "Oh, Satan's just tricked you." You know, there's that comment where they say that, Satan is the Lord of Lies, and his best trick was to prove to the world that he didn't exist. And so, in their eyes, you're kind of screwed either way, because you either believe in all of it, and you just don't want to face up to it, or you generally don't believe it, so that means you've been tricked. So there's no, it's like there either is a God, and you're ignoring the fact that there is a real God and you're ignoring the truth, or you don't believe in there's a God because because you're being fooled into not seeing a God. So there's no, it's that thing of there either is a God or there is a God. They're your two choices. And which actually leads me on to one of my other favourites, is what if you're wrong? Now, one of my friends had actually asked me this. It's like, what if you're wrong? What if there is a God and you're actually breaking the rules and you'd be sent to hell? Why don't you act, why don't you just act like there is a God, and that way you're good either way? And which raises that question, well, if I'm doing it because I think, if I'm doing it and I don't believe there's a God, but I'm doing it anyway, I'm therefore lying, and lying is bad, so therefore I'm lying, so that's not going to work. And there's a interesting term. So we have this thing known as the Pascal's wager, which is actually a fallacy. Now, the idea of Pascal's wager is there is or is not a God. If you act like there is a God and do all the stuff that you're supposed to do, you're good. If you don't believe that there's a God, you might as well act as if there is one. Because if there isn't a God, well, you've lost nothing. But if there is a God, you're covered. And that's called Pascal's wager. But the interesting part about it is that concept only really works if there's only, quote, the one God or the one religion. Because, as we all know, there's more than one religion. So Pascal's wager doesn't really work if you go on the basis of the God is the Christian God. I think it was said, I heard it somewhere where it's like, I think it was Aaron Ra did a talk, and he said, like, here's the thing, right? If you die, and Pascal, I think Pascal, who died, gone to heaven, and is now is having a discussion with Allah, or who's reincarnated, and he's now a cow, because Pascal's wager only really works if on one of the many gods, because there's more than one religion who believe in a variety of different gods or a different version of the same God. So there's no point in saying, I'm going to act as if there is a God, because then you're like, okay, well, which one? Because there are several. So that sort of thing doesn't really work. So another fun one. This is one of those things more targeted Satanists. It's like, why Satanism? Why be a Satanist? Why not just be an atheist? Why not be a humanist, etc.? And one of my responses to that is usually, well, because Satanism is interesting. Satanism is kind of fun. And they're the main two bits, to be fair, at least for me. But because obviously with Satanism, it's all about individuality. Once again, as with humanism. And in certain aspects of Satanism, there is an element of politics behind it, or at least in regards with TST. And there's kind of that sort of motivation. And it's still kind of like, it is still a belief system, in the fact that, but not necessarily a supernatural one. And you can have a belief system and a religion that's not founded on theism, which does confuse a lot of people. Once again, the person who once said to me that I'm only doing this so I can sin said, like, well, I don't recognise this as a religion. And it's like, well, you're not an authority on religion or a studier of it, so I don't really care what you would consider a religion, because it's not down to you. You are not the judge of what makes something a religion and what doesn't make something a religion. And so once again, stuff like this just kind of bugs me. But yeah, so because Satanism also kind of has like a not interesting feel impact, but at the same time, I'm fully aware. If someone came up to me and said, "Hello, would you like to come to a church?" I'd be like, "No, thank you. I'm off to my satanic temple, as and when we actually can do this soon." I'm not going to walk around and just walk around with a plaque saying, yep, I'm a Satanist, get on with it. Because, you know, the whole safety aspect of not having my head stoved in. So I always feel that it's very weird when people say, well, there's a bias about Satanism. It's like, yeah, but considering the history of it and kind of like the historical perception of Satanism, I can kind of understand why people have a bias. It's incorrect, but I can still see why there is a bias. And I always find it weird when people act kind of like surprised. Where people sound surprised, it's like, oh, I can't believe Satanism has such a bad rap. It's like, well, yeah, because the concept is the guy who argues against God. You know, let's be honest. We can all kind of understand why people aren't big fans of that. But the other thing I've gotten, and this was the one I actually got today, as I'm on a few Facebook satanic Facebook groups, I wind up having randos kind of just drop me a message saying, "Hey, I need your help." Now, if you're on a satanic Facebook group, you've either had this before or you're going to have this soon. You're going to have some random person say, hey, I want your help. And they're usually going to say, hey, I want your help because I either want to be a Satanist. No, what was it? One person said that they want to have intercourse with Satan. I think I got that on Instagram once. I want to have intercourse with Satan. I want to be a singer. That was one I got a few weeks back. And today I want my business to be really successful. To which my response is usually, well, I don't believe that there is a Satan, so there's no one to procreate with. And yeah, oh, you want to be a singer, or you want your business to, okay, talk to a business advisor, work hard, you know, the same way everyone else has to survive in this world. Because, as we've all learnt, there are no shortcuts. Most religions even say, like, if you want to actually achieve something on the physical world, you've got to work hard. You can't just sit down and just go to your knees, pray and hope. You kind of got to put a bit of work into it, or nothing will happen. Even in certain pagan cultures, there's still concept of you can do a spell, but you still need to kind of put effort in for the thing to start. You can't just pray for wheat to grow if you don't plant the seeds in the first place. That sort of thing. So these are the sort of things that kind of come up for me when being online. Now, I'm not exactly the most I'm hardly prevalent in the satanic community, but these are the things I do wind up coming across more often than not. But yeah, tell you what, for a bit of fun, once again, if you did enjoy this video, like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. But yeah, leave a comment below. Tell me some of the things that people have said to you during your time of atheistic Satanism, or just, you know, either way, Satanism, atheism, even or even theistic Satanists. You know, leave a comment below telling me some of the sort of stuff that people have said to you. Hell, if there's enough, well, might make its own video. That'd be fun. But yeah, so I hope you did enjoy. And once again, links in the description for my social medias and for my interview on Saturday. So you have a good one, live deliciously, and hail Satan.